everybody. I'm Dr. Nancy Moonstarr, your host to A Man's Guide to Intimacy, Series 4. Let's talk about sex, the Holy Grail of Intimacy. You're in for a treat. You get to hear and meet and watch and listen to the founder of More Love Works, an advanced certified Tantra educator, certified positive psychology coach who works with couples the world over as well as individuals to create a modern, holistic approach. So you put together what can work in the boardroom or the bedroom, and from here to there, up, down, in every way possible, transform into profound love. Today, she's talking about how big is your penis, and it doesn't matter how big or hard to be a great lover. We welcome Leah Piper.
Thank you, Nancy. So great to be with you again.
Oh.
And hello, audience. Happy to be with you too.
Oh, thank you, Leah. Well, I thought it would be fun to let the audience know that you're going to be a fairy godmother tonight, and you're going to be a sorceress who is going to grant wishes from your magic. And so the first wish is what for our men, for our audience, and for women who are listening?
Well, I know it's hard to believe, but size doesn't matter. It's really not how hard you are or how big you are that makes you a master lover. What counts and what's the most powerful and the most effective in helping your partner feel deeply emotionally loved, which very few people know exactly how powerful and beautiful it is to feel, that is how much love, how much connection to your heart you can put out that wand. In Tantra, we refer to the male genitalia as a lingam. I know it kind of sounds like a Chinese chewing gum, but it's the definition that matters. And it's a word that is over 5,000 years old, and it translates to wand of God or wand of light. And the reason why I love that word so much is because language has psycholinguistics, and how we refer to something either empowers it or disempowers it. So you can, and as a woman, let me just say, a woman that likes to make love to men, I would much rather make love to the wand of God than any old dick or prick ever again. Okay, so just the knowledge and the language of the sacredness of that part of your body, I think, is a key aspect to showing up as a confident, powerful lover. In addition to that, you know, I think when a lot of men, especially when they hear it from a woman versus hearing it from a man, they really sort of dismiss this idea that their size doesn't matter. Our culture, I think even our biology, the whole alpha male thing, the tribal thing, the monkey part of our brain, the lizard brain, all has this cultural message that says that if you don't have this big cock, you're not as impressive, you're not as powerful, you're not a man with a capital M, and you'll be less desirable to the feminine. Well, I got news for you. Not everybody enjoys having a really big lingam inside of them. Our anatomy comes in all shapes or sizes, and there is a perfect complementary place to penetrate your powerful, amazing, sexual, pleasure-filled part of your body in someone else's body. As for instance, my personal preference is smaller lingams. It's more juicy, more comfortable. I can feel me being penetrated by something that I actually can connect to the energetic space around. When something's too big, I actually numb out. There tends to be too much friction, and it's harder for me to reach climax. No one ever talks about that part, because the only messaging we get in our culture is that big is better. Well, no, it's not for everyone. Now, for some people, sure, a bigger lingam does help them feel more full, more like they can reach more sensation. There's something about like the fullness and the space being filled that is highly erotic. So we all know that, like, yes, there are sizes for everyone that's going to help each person reach different levels of ecstasy. But even given the size equation, setting that aside, I have had personal love-making experiences where it was the attention that my lover was giving their genitals, filling up the sexual erotic essence of who they are and penetrating me with their connection, their developed sense of who they are as a loving masculine being, and using that to penetrate me. And when doing so, he can be any size he wants. It's mind over matter. And so your mind is so powerful. It is the biggest sex organ. Start to connect to it more powerfully. Disconnect from the messaging that says you should be insecure and feel anxious around sex because of fear that you're not enough. You will always be enough if you can develop the skill of building a wonderful circuit between your heart and your penis. Many men are disconnected. There hasn't been a very good model that shows a sexual, vibrant man filled with vitality who's also connected to his heart. And that's one of the messages I really hope to inspire those of you to embody, because your partner needs it.
Yes. Okay. I want to go back again to this energy. So you've described energy that he can send through his lingam. And maybe if somebody's new, just tuning in and doesn't quite get that, could you grant him a detailed
distinctions? Yes. Okay. So your body is filled with electrical current. Yeah, we all know that. And we can strengthen the communication that those currents have. So for instance, your heart sends all this blood all over the body, but it also sends all sort of electrical impulses all over the body. So one of the things we can do is advance our circuitry. We can strengthen our circuitry. And by doing so, what we're really doing is we're strengthening the neural pathways that connects our emotional feeling body with our sexual energy body. So one way I like to sort of describe the energy of a man's sexual essence, and I think this is mind-blowing. I wish every woman knew this, because I think she would respect men and the expression of their sexuality even more if they knew this. You are born with enough sperm to populate the planet as we know it. That's a lot of life force energy. Your sexuality is purposely built and constructed to create life. Life, all that creative life energy. And that creative life energy isn't just energy that creates a generation. It's energy that can also create regeneration in you. It's energy that is the source of our creativity in and of itself. So when you can connect your emotional intelligence, your deep desire for meaningful intimacy, your love and passion and wanting and desiring of this lover before you, and you connect the two, you would first want to maybe connect to your heart, and then hold on and massage and connect to your cock and feel the two aligning with each other. Now, there's another center that's also really neat to know, because your navel is called the area of your navel is the power center. So you can actually, if you breathe in, you can imagine running energy by placing your hands over your cock, go over your navel and into your heart, massaging your heart, essentially bringing passion, merging it with power, and then merging it with love. And then massaging that again by going down, taking love, dragging and combining it with power, and then massaging your cock in circles, bringing love to your passion. Essentially doing two things: becoming more passionate as a lover and bringing more love to your passion. And we want those things very connected. We have a culture that just kind of make sex sort of cut off. So many of us, what I mean by that is many of us sort of in a corporate driven world are living from here up. This is just where we do life from. Some of us on maybe a spiritually growth oriented world, we're living from the heart up. And very rarely are we really bringing time, attention, and growth to having our whole body connected. So our sexuality is connected to our spirituality, and so it's connected to also the power of our intellect.
Wow. So even if a guy might not quite get this energetic sense, what I'm hearing you say is you want him to practice that, try it, see what the difference is. And I also think of the word intention and how that's experienced by his partner. Could you speak a little bit?
Yeah. So the image that comes up for me is, when there's a little kid and he falls down and he's got his bloody knee and he's just sad and mad, and you scoop him up, the little guy, in your arms, and you rub his back and you just go, it's okay, you're all right. And a few seconds later, jumps up and goes at it again. That touch that you're bringing, that comfort, there, you're okay. You're okay. That comfort, that feeling of safety, that reassurance, that's the touch. That's the energy and intention I'm talking about. You know how to do this for your kids. You know how to be maybe your employee or your colleague's cheerleader. You want them to do a good job. You want your partner to feel loved and adored. You know how to put love into your touch and comfort someone and cheer somebody on.
I can
Same
imagine.
thing you got to do down here. So when you touch with your lingam, what you want to send out of that touch is how big you are in your heart. And that will actually, and then your partner can visualize that growing and expanding inside of her or him. When you're in partnership with your partner who wants to play the same game, then their breath can actually, and their imagination and their brain can actually fill themselves even more by you working together. So that's another amplification that you can include. Does that answer your question about intention? I know it's still more in the world of energy and emotion, but
it's great because energetically, when you're comforting a kid or even a peer, a coworker, a colleague with words, the part on the body that might have gotten bumped or hurt all of a sudden feels better, and it's not because of anything other than you've given that energy. And the same energetic influence when your partner is maybe upset and you're offering the energetic care, things change, magic happens. And I was thinking of something else with this whole energetic exchange, that you as a man want also your partner's energy to be focused on you and to desire you, and talk a little bit about that energy and what, and because I really want the audience to understand energy.
Yeah. So there's the Gottmans developed a system, and they call it turning towards, practicing little habits throughout the day that are physically turning towards your partner. And what that means is you're starting to pay closer attention to their bids for connection. And an example of that would be, oh, hey, honey, look, the oranges outside, they're really starting to ripen. And instead of going, you actually get up and you join them at the window and you take a look at the oranges and you go, let's go pick one together. That's a turning towards. When you're in conflict and you're having a hard time understanding how they feel about this thing that you feel so differently about, you could turn your back and your body language can get all tight and you could be mad, or you can start to do the silent treatment. We do all these defensive measures when we're in conflict. But if you can begin to practice and have an agreement that instead of going separate when we're frustrated, we're going to continue to try to turn towards. This act of even the energy, how the energy feels to your partner when you move towards them in a state of openness, really is the generator of harmony. People watch body language. So one of the things that I do when people are wanting to like understand and conceptualize this thing called energy that they can't see. They're not sure that they can feel it, and they really doubt that it's real. I know because I've been there. I was a part of a training that was all about energy, and I thought everyone else got it and I didn't, until I started noticing body language. And people will show you what their energy is, which then will show you how they're really feeling. It's a sensitivity muscle that you begin to strengthen. And so you want to really watch for energy. Is your partner closing or opening? Closing or opening is how you're touching. Do they do one of these? Do they back up? Do they cross their legs? Do they turn their shoulder? Do they turn away? All these things are giving you information on your partner closing. What shows you when your partner is opening? Again, it's the turn towards, it's the chest going up, it's the eyes being bright, it's the twinkle and the smile matching the eyes, it's being present. And so your partner is going to be able to pick up when you're checked out. And that's a two-way street. And so by creating energetic habits that allow two people to really practice the art of harmonizing are small things throughout the day. Another way of calling this turning towards is habits that create magic moments. For instance, greeting your partner at the door when they get home. Instead of noticing that they're finally home, oh, hey, honey, how was your day? It's like an anticipation. You run to the door, you give them a kiss, and you go back to what you were doing. It's an acknowledgement. You're home. Same thing with the moment you penetrate your partner, take it so slow. Do eye contact. Look at each other. Go so slow so you both can savor the feeling, the expansiveness. Same thing is true for when you are done penetrating and the lovemaking is over. Go slow when you come out. Savor the sensation of the one becoming two again. And then look at each other and say something nice like, God, you feel good. Thank you, babe.
Beautiful, beautiful. So taking this energetic sense and what he's sending to his partner, if he's concerned that he's not big enough, he's not hard enough, how does he work on that more so he is catching himself and sending this kind of energy you're talking about?
Well, one thing that men should know is there are things that you can do with your soft on that give women a special type of orgasmic pleasure that cannot be felt with your hard on. When you use your lingam and you just, with lots of oil, you roll it across her vulva, it's exquisite. It's one of my favorite things. I prefer when my partner actually is softer, on the softer side, when we start to engage in intimacy, because there's no tissue on the body quite as supple or lovely or elastic or soft as a soft wand and labia.
Oh, I
when
love
you
that.
put those two together and mush them with lots of yummy oil, it's so sweet. And you know what else it is? It's non-threatening. You see, erections can sometimes represent pressure, obligation, hurry up and be ready. Okay, I got get up, get in and get it off. That's my job. And so there's a programming within the psyche of the feminine that often feels an intense sense of, I have to hurry and be ready. He's ready. And it's not a magnetic feeling. It's not a feeling that opens to desire. It's okay. It's kind of stressful. So there's a place in lovemaking where that part of our nervous system is like, oh, yes, I get a chance to take my time, because our erectile tissue takes longer to be engorged. And also, when we all properly massage and open the vulva, which is instead of going straight into the vagina, we will have as much climatic pleasure potentially as men. Right now, those scales feel so even for so many women. It seems like men get all the luck and get all the orgasms, and we have to fight for them. And we can start to balance that. And one of the ways we do so is for men to come to lovemaking knowing that you're a lover even when you're soft. You know, you're soft 99% of the day. And yet still men will identify who they are as a man only if they have an erection, and a man with a capital M. If they're in a sexual situation and they're soft, many of them sort of equate it to little boy Dicky, and they're a man with a lowercase m. And I just, that just makes me so mad. Because if you are soft 99% of the day, you're a man the rest of the day. So it's like, expand your belief system. And ladies, can we please be on board and be on partnership and let him know that he is an amazing, desirable lover with all of his parts? Because it's not just how much love you put out your cock that matters to us, that gives us exquisite pleasure. It's the love you put out your hands, your eyes, your words, your tongue, your mouth, your lips. Like, you are so much more of a lover than what's between your legs. And one of the keys to getting hard when you've been soft and the worries start to arise, because we know it's well documented that once your head gets involved and you're starting to feel anxious and you're judging the situation and you want to get hard and hurry it up and you're starting to feel embarrassed, that makes it worse. So if we could create an experience where getting soft and getting hard was just a natural part of lovemaking, and we could take the stress out, erections, boy, would they be more successful. And so how I would love for you to start thinking about this is, if you can imagine all that sexual life force energy that can create life, and there's a moment in the lovemaking where for whatever reason, nobody's fault, it just starts to soften. Consider this: nothing's wrong, body's doing great, nobody's at fault, you're not dysfunctional. Instead, your body's wisdom is receiving the yin tide, is what we call it in Tantra, which means your body is now taking in the tide from your lover, receiving her awesome sexual energy. We call that in Tantra Shakti. And so you would consciously breathe in and receive the yin tide, allowing that life force energy combined with hers to just wash over you. And if you don't stress about it, instead you take that lovely hand of yours and you hold the base of your wand in its softness or midway softness. You begin stroking up and down her vulva. I suggest these strokes. You stroke down the clitoris, down to the vaginal opening, and up to the clitoris, and down the lips, and up the lips, and then around and around the clitoris, and then down the lips, and to the other lips, and up those lips, and around the clitoris. And then you can roll your lingam across the vulva sideways. You can tap, percussion. Love a percussion tap right at the introitus, which is the vaginal opening, where there are two little glands called the Bartholin glands that help secrete natural lubrication. Taking that up to the side of the clitoris. I don't recommend right on top of the clitoris. That's oftentimes too much energy or pressure. To the side is just right. And her response will continue to open and flower, and arousal will continue to rise, all with the soft on. And nobody's broken, and nothing needs to be prescribed a title of dysfunction. And you're just a lover glorifying in your partner's pleasure. And the next thing you know, you are hard and you are back inside. And so this is just a way of figuring out how to flow and expand who we get to be as lovers, and start to take the stress of this out of our bedrooms. You know, Nancy, one of the things that just like breaks my heart is we start to make sex so serious. Instead of it being this expression or a prayer using our bodies with somebody else about love, we make it a goal that everyone has to come, everyone has to be aroused, everyone has to be satisfied. It's like this big goal-oriented, serious thing that just robs us of it being playful. I mean, if you just make it about love, everyone, it tends to work itself out.
Wow. That was so helpful to hear you explain in detail. And I agree with you that starting out lovemaking with a woman with the soft on rather than being hard and moving too quickly is so delightful. That you explained it so beautifully. And if more men really understood that, and that the build from that can happen or doesn't even have to happen. And I also know that there's great appreciation in our audience for you explaining how to go up and down the vulva with a soft on, because a woman's parts, aren't they so very delicate?
They're so delicate. And we need and love often a softer, more still touch. You know, we oftentimes struggle with our own arousal because we have this image that says like more is more and harder is better. And for a lot of women, if not the majority of women, it's not. In fact, in our teacher trainings, it's usually not until the third certification process people start to finally listen to this part about stillness. And this is an aspect of what I call pause and go lovemaking. When we are passionate and we are charging up the fire, right? We're stoking the fire, our arousal is getting higher and higher and higher. At this peak moment of high, take a pause, open your eyes, look at each other, press your hearts together. Send like your love and your lust and your passion and your gratitude and the feeling of awe that you have for this creature who's loving you this way, and send it out your eyes and smile and even laugh. Have some joy, express your joy. And then if the lingam starts to just kind of cool down a little bit, hey, build up that fire again. And then you start moving and building up that friction. And then it gets high again, and then have another pause. It's one of these ways that you can stop rushing sex and start feasting on sex, savoring sensation, noticing that energy has a direction and it has like a feeling, heat, temperature, and even color. And so I really encourage all of us as humans to start studying our pleasure. And one of the first parts of that process is being aware and increasing your awareness of sensation. When I'm touched, where do I feel it? What's the sound of it? Can I take a breath? And when I take a breath and I make a sound, is what Leah says is true? Will it get more intense? It will. So finding these ways of finding like a dance between the way that we breath purposefully, our willingness to make the sounds of our sensations, moans, groans, sighs, any vowel will do, hard or soft. I want you to get the courage to do that more often, because I know just about every man watching this gets really turned on when their lover is expressing their passion through sound. Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, you're right. I like that.
So we're the same. If you express your sounds of passion and you like what we're doing, don't you think we would get off on that? Yeah, we do. We really, really like it. And I know that there may be kids or grandma in the next room, but you can always grab a pillow and and make the sounds in the pillow, but don't rob yourself of what I call the intensity volume control. If you want more intense sensation, you must make more sounds. So by pausing and having these moments of stillness And you can even send through your mind and down your body with an exhale out your penis. Imagine you could breathe and exhale into her a message that says, I am filling you up. I am. Can I curse on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to fuck you all the way to your brain. I'm not just going to fuck you right here. I am loving you so big that I am fucking opening your heart and opening your voice and opening your brain. You're not limited by the size of your penis. Your whole body can feel like a penis. Mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter, honey. So you've got to like really stretch your preconceived idea of what's possible and spend a year looking into your human potential of having a very well pleasured life and really loving the body that you've been blessed with. So if I can just add.
You can add anything you want, but I do have a couple comments.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So how important is it for a guy to encourage his partner to make sounds, passionate sounds? And how does he do that? And what if he's thinking, well, I don't really know what's going on with her. I don't hear much. What do you encourage him?
I would first have a conversation about it before you're making love. People are so sensitive about their performance in the bedroom that it unintentionally quickly goes to, I'm being criticized. You don't think I'm good at sex? Or you don't think there's something wrong? What's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. And so we can sensitive, right? And so first I would just say, talk about that you've been reading articles, watching a YouTube, heard a tutorial about how to have more pleasure in the bedroom and how much you desire to be better at lovemaking or to be in partnership about the two of you getting the most out of your lovemaking. And that it's been known that making sounds not only is a beautiful nonverbal way of communicating, you know, it's lovely to get reassurance. Like, I feel really affirmed as a lover. I feel like I know and feel reassured that you're receiving pleasure when you can make a sound, when you give me a sigh, like a deep sigh, or even a small groan. It doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Tantrikas know that we don't even wait for something to feel good to make a sound. We know that we have it backwards. If you make a sound, the feel-good feelings come to you. So when I lay down to be intimate, I'm immediately have trained myself to start taking long, deep, slow breaths. And I'm just giving a little hum to the happiness that I'm showing up with my baby. And then I might stretch. Oh, and I do those like groan moan sounds that you do when you're stretching. And so that it feels more natural and not contrived. That's the hardest part of helping people see the power in this, is because the first time they try making sounds, they feel phony or it feels contrived. And so I want you to know that's just the learning curve. Don't take it so seriously. You got to practice for it to feel natural. And that means taking it on a number of test drives. Here's the other tip that can really help. Help your partner sound by sounding with them. If we're not accustomed to making sounds during sex because we're embarrassed about it, it feels so awkward to be the only one making a grunt. It's like, it's so amplified our discomfort about sounding. So prompt each other. Hey, baby, give me a on the exhale. Now, with you. Breathe in. And so you help each other. You're partners in this thing called expression.
So another comment. Thank you for that. All of these ideas. So what about the idea? I remember something very romantic in my own experience where silence was important because of not waking somebody or others in the house or in the space. And isn't it extremely erotic to have to hold back and maybe be silent. So it's sort of the flip.
Yeah, and that's where I think facial expressions and what you do in body expressions can be highly arousing and amplifying. It's like knowing that you can't really verbally let go, but you can let go with how you ball up your fist. You can let go with how you kind of stomp on the bed. You can, it's like this, how you again express yourself is a part of the amplification of sensation. No one really cares to make love to a dead fish, where someone's just laying back saying, all right, you can do it to me, or I'll do it to you. And they're unexpressive. And, there's a little theatrical person in this body. So I understand that I'm kind of exaggerating right now because I want your mirror neurons and my mirror neurons to get this teaching. So our bodies actually can give us teachings if we can show it. And so for those of you who have a hard time like being expressive, that's understandable. Not everyone comes with that. You have to get out of your comfort zone and find ways of communicating non-verbally to your lover. I like what you're doing. We all feel our insecurities around being good enough in just about every area of life. In some areas, we've got great aptitude, so our confidence shines. In other areas, we are just consumed with self-doubt. So we have to practice. And when I think about practicing something like sexual love, I can't think of a better place to be disciplined in. I mean, it's a pretty fun world to do practices and to discover and learn and get better at being a lover. So be easy on yourself and be gentle on your partner. It was so common at our seminars for there to be a handful of couples where someone was dragging their partner in. Or I'd be on the phone, talking to someone who really wanted to come, but their partner was saying, no way, I'm not going to do it. And so how do you inspire your partner to go on this journey with you? Sometimes it takes a lot of conversations, heartfelt, tender conversations. Sometimes it's insisting or simply inviting, I want you to watch this interview with me. I want to be closer to you. I want to have a deeper connection. I want us to have more desire and pleasure. And I want it to be fun. Well, can we learn this together? Will you be my partner like you're my partner raising the kids and my partner in paying the bills and my partner in this lifestyle that we're so proud of? And when you just show up with some like vulnerability, I hope that your partner will open or crack that door to start the process. Otherwise, start the process by yourself, because there are ways with which you can be responsible and that you must be responsible for who you are as a sexual being and your own pleasure. One of the things that I work with women all the time is discovering the amazing empowerment that comes from being responsible for her pleasure. It's not anyone else's job. She can learn how to discover her own erotic essence, her own orgasmic climatic potential. And then that's a gift she brings to a lover. Then they get to share in that experience. But if we make it someone else's responsibility to make us feel confident, it's a hard win. So I think first and foremost, we must all have a personal journey to discovering who we are as a sexual being. And then find all the roadmaps. I think there's nothing better than discovering that you have things about your sexual erotic nature that turn you on, that are interesting and wonderful and very much undiscovered territory that hasn't been mapped regarding the way you love to be touched against your side of the waist, the way you love your head massaged, the way you love to be massaged between your toes. I mean, this is stuff we should really spend an hour or two once a month understanding, delighting in.
So when you were encouraging him to take responsibility, if you're not getting a partner to collaborate, you can begin your own work. And I thought of solo, but I also thought while he's in the process of lovemaking, he can start his own groans or his own sounds. Is that right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
And then kind of get over that he has to be talking to himself, because he's really communicating with his partner, and he can get out of his head and make it about this partnership, this relating. So then I also wanted to ask, because you started talking about whispering, I thought, and how erotic is whispering, and what are your tips with whispering?
I mean, there is something about whispering that is so lovely. And so there are, I call them secondary erogenous zones. And wherever there's a fold in the body or a joint, there is extra bundles of nerve endings. And this is one of the ways people learn how to become orgasmic in other areas than their genitals. It's also a fantastic way to find out that you can be orgasmic other than your genitals. So if for some reason you have had a medical procedure that no longer allows you to have an erection, that doesn't mean that the world of orgasm and climaxes stop in your life. It means that you get to expand where else you can feel orgastic pleasure. And so when it comes to whispering, I would actually sort of expand it into the idea that there are 5 modalities of kissing, because when we're whispering, we're using the mouth, and we're actually using an exhale. So there's a way with which you can whisper and enunciate and put breath against a secondary erogenous zone like the neck or the spine, or around the navel, circling the belly button. You can whisper behind a knee. And so it's like this accentuation of breath going out. And then you can also do a inhale with a, which is breath going in. You also, when we think about like the mouth and kissing, the creative use, the art of using our mouths, we have 4 quadrants, right? So we've got the upper lip, the bottom lip, and the 2 corners. And so you've got these 4 places with which you can give pleasure and receive pleasure. You have the creative use of the tongue, but I suggest no tongue kung fu. Most people don't like jamming into their mouth. It's very kind of unpleasant. We also have the creative use of the teeth. So think of this. You give a little lick to the side of the neck, and then you whisper her name or his name against that neck, or your name, because I love the idea of having someone mark me. You know, I have you, my name is something like that. Doing it to the ear, like coming in from behind, if you're making love from behind and whispering something deliciously naughty or raunchy or loving. And it can really just rev up kick up that extra next level of one's arousal. I love that question.
Wow.
The other thing I just want to add about like oral pleasure, in Tantra, we refer to it not as a blowjob or going down or eating her out. We call it honoring, that we would honor our lover with our mouth. And the fascia that makes up your heart is the same fascia that makes your tongue. So you are literally loving your lover with your heart when you use your tongue. And if you want to be the world's greatest kisser, study the way your partner kisses you. If you can then just allow yourself to be the kissee instead of the kisser, you can really learn how they like to be kissed, because people kiss the way they like to be kissed. So just lean on back, Let your partner teach you, show you, and then kiss them back the same way, because they may go in with the tongue a lot slower than you do. So pick up on these little cues. They may like a little love bite.
Nice. So when you were describing the 4 quadrants, or the 2 lips and the, tell us again a little bit more with that. And I think you also explained about breathing in and out.
So your outer lip has more texture. It's a little drier. You can feel the ridges. The inner lip is softer. It's also more moist. It's very, very, very tender. There's something about nibbling on the corner of a lip that is really sexy and yummy. So you want to make sure that you're visiting the 4 corners. The other thing that most people don't know is that in acupuncture, well, the only 2 places we have frenulum is in the clitoris, in the tip of the penis, and right here at the gums. Acupuncture, I think they call it the governess valve and the, I can't remember it right now, it'll probably come to me before the interview's out, but there's 2 pieces of frenulum right there. What's so cool is that they have an energetic meridian that connect to the genitals. So if you just do a little lick, or you nibble on the upper lip with a little tongue right to the frenulum or the bottom frenulum, it creates stimulation at the frenulum that's down here. Give it a try.
Fun. That sounds fun. And refresh the breathing in and out that you were talking about.
So inhaling and exhaling, you want to be purposeful with your breath. And the reason for this is a couple fold. One is when you slow down your breathing, especially when you start to breathe with your lower lungs and you do some like belly breaths. This is the type of breathing that like your belly puffs up a little bit and then you bring it in and contract it a little bit on the exhale. It's very simple, but why it's important to sex is because it's diaphragmatic breathing. And if you're feeling anxious or insecure or just stressed from the day, it's going to calm down your adrenals, which will calm down your adrenaline levels and your cortisol levels. When your adrenals or when adrenaline and cortisol are running through your body, it's hard to be present. When it's hard to be present, it's hard to study sensation. So first and foremost, we use slowing down the breath to relax us into a state of presence. And it's a good habit because if you're going to start to, at the beginning, slow down the length of your inhales and your exhales, you can then apply that to expanding your arousal. I feel something sexy at the tip of my cock. I want to feel it more intensely. I'm going to breathe the sensation of that sexy feeling, and I'm going to give it a breath. I'm going to breathe it in as if I could give it to my brain, lighting my brain up. And when it's time for the exhale, I'm going to exhale that sexiness down from my brain, down back to my cock. And what that does is it's strengthening the neural pathway using breathing. Now, we just spoke about how the breath can then be applied to turn on by whispering and kissing. So when you're sucking on a part of the body, let's say the lips, you're using an inhalation breath to suck. When you want to change temperature and give somebody goosebumps, you can use a blowing breath to create that ticklish, goosebumpy thrill on somebody's skin. So that's sort of the play of the inhale and the exhale and how to apply it. It also comes in handy when it comes to having a climax. And there's a method with which you can quadruple the length, the power, and the intensity of a climax, but you're gonna have to get it on my website. And it's a part of my free gift. But it's how you, instead of just having one peak and valley of an orgasm, instead you can learn to climb the Himalayas, or in some parts of the world, the Himalayas, so that your orgasm peaks and then goes up another ridge, and then keeps going, goes up another ridge and keeps going, instead of going up and then immediately down. All with breathing. Oh yeah, and sounding.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, sorry, you're not going to get away from sounding in this school.
All right. So I wanted to make sure that we got all of your sorceress wishes to our guys. And I noticed something, you have a pause and go lovemaking. Is that part of what you've just
Yeah,
explained?
that's that pause. So let's kind of do a little review. So one is size doesn't matter. Why? Because when you connect how much love that you can put out your cock and lovemaking, you can make it any size you want. You can supersize yourself. Okay. The pleasure that you can only give a woman in soft on, there's an orgasm that we can only have when you are soft and you are rolling, caressing up and down, tapping, or circling different parts of our vulva to take us into extreme supple pleasure. And it can be so erotic, namely because your soft on is non-threatening. It's a different sensual journey that you get to take us on when you're soft, which can be adored. Next is your intimacy together can expand and deepen with pause and go lovemaking. You want those pauses to be a moment of great intimacy with your eyes and your hearts pressed together. You are sending the current of, I am so grateful. I am so in love. I am so turned on. We'll use words or don't, but send it through your eyes at least. And maybe harmonize your breaths together if you want to really amplify it. So that's about intimacy. And then why you shouldn't worry about going soft when you're in the middle of lovemaking and suddenly you go soft, because if you know how to pleasure her on her vulva with the soft on and keep her turned on, that erection comes right back. Because isn't it true that when a woman is turned on, that is some sexy stuff? And eventually, really rather quickly, if you don't stress about it, you will get engorged again. And lastly, I think my last tip to give you is that if your erection needs a little help and engorgement, and it's kind of like midway there, you got kind of a midi instead of a softie. What you can do is bring like the skin and kind of bring it as much down, the loose skin as much down to the base of the penis as you can, and then squeeze the both sides. Now you can kind of do this with the fist. So now the penis is right here, the balls are right there, and you're squeezing the very bottom of the base of the penis. Keep hold of it. And as you're making love, you can keep holding it. If you're doing the vulva massage, you can grip it. She can grip it if she's honoring you with her mouth or pleasuring you with her hand. This technique, we call it the Arnold because of Arnold Schwarzenegger, because what you're doing is you are cutting the blood supply from going back up into the heart. So what happens is blood from your heart goes down to your penis to make it erect. When you cut off the supply by squeezing the base of the penis, it stops the blood from going back up to the heart, causing you to become engorged and that much harder. So when I want to support my partner having a bigger, firmer, more robust erection, I squeeze the base of his penis and then I stroke him into heaven. And then suddenly I don't really need to hold the base anymore. It's a great technique. And the reason why we call it the Arnold is because the veins get more engorged with blood because it's not going back up to the heart. You can kind of see the veins like you could see it in a muscle. Hope that helps you remember.
Thank you. So are there any other tips for maintaining sexual vitality as a man ages, as he gets older, and what he might want to?
Yes, there is. There's a whole technology and science to it. And we don't have time to cover it here, but in short, there's a way with which you can reverse the aging process. And you must think of your sexual energy is it not being a perpetual motion machine? What happens, it's like teenagers get a vast trust fund and think that I can just spend, and the money will never run out. Until Leah calls you at some point in your 40s and says, my boy, you must learn to invest. Otherwise, there'll be no money for your old age. And then comes the process of learning how to not squander your sexual energy through ejaculating, 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 ejaculating until your sexual energy is spent. And then it's over. You have to learn how to regenerate it. And there's a way with which you can separate orgasm from ejaculations. And that doesn't mean you don't have orgasms anymore, but your potential to have many different types of climaxes and orgasms running through your body is near limitless. But your biology would have you believe that they only happen if they are together. And so there's methods with which you can start to separate your high arousal from tiring ejaculations, learning how to surf those high arousal waves without getting wiped out. And what you'll start to discover is that there's new types of pleasure that are even more satisfying than the ejaculatory orgasm you've spent overspending your whole life. And by learning these different techniques in your old age, you not only keep your principal safe, but then you get dividends and interest and the whole 9 yards. So there's a whole process to vitality that maybe we can save for another day.
Okay. All right. So what is your free gift for our audience?
So there is a video, a tutorial that in particular addresses the frustration that many women have when they think they're about to go through the door of orgasm. And it's like the door is so close. It's like, right, they're going to go through it. They're going to go through it. They're almost there. They're almost there. And then suddenly the door is gone. And we're so disappointed and discouraged. And we can't believe it's disappeared again. And we felt like we were so close. And it's just such a disappointment. And it's so frustrating. And I discovered what we've all been doing that has short-circuited us from the door. And so on my website is a tutorial on how to walk through the door so you never have to go chasing the door again. And it's just a little correction with how you breathe. And then I expand further on how to have a more intense and a longer orgasm that both partners can use so that your orgasm is 4 times as long and 4 times as big every time. So I hope you enjoy that. I believe following up on that video, maybe a few days later, I give you another tutorial on, is eye gazing creepy or sexy? And like how to ensure you're not doing it the creepy way. Where it's more like, oh, I just fell so much more in love way. That's the aim. So I hope I hope everyone enjoys that. And I don't send out a ton of emails. And if you ever get tired of me, you just unsubscribe.
Oh, well, Leah, it's been a delight. It's been a pure delight and so much fun being with you and hearing you and talking and having this conversation. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And to all the men who are watching, I love you. I love men. I think you're awesome. I think you're great. And I'm so encouraged at your willingness to want to be a better lover and grow as a sexual man. And for all the women out there, let's just keep loving up our brothers and remember that we're not separate from each other. Thank you.